We're going to start right off the top.
Boy, was I wrong about those Jets. I mean, me and him sat here the last couple of weeks talking about, well, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, if he is actually healthy, and this offensive line, the retooled, reloaded offensive line, New York Jets, they're going to look good. But it was the defense that showed up and peed down their leg a little bit. But you know what? It's less them peeing down their leg, and I'll give a lot of credit to the San Francisco 49ers front for just taking them by the throat and driving them down the field the entire game. Rookie right guard Dominic Purdy, great. George Kittle, ass kicker in the run as usual. And this offense just looked methodical. They could do whatever they wanted against this Jets team. And we heard Robert Saleh say, when we want to stop the run, we can stop the run. And they didn't, Pete.
Well, and I'm guilty as you guys because I had him going deep into the postseason in large part because I thought the offensive line was fixed. I'm a big believer in Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. And we thought the defense would be the same defense. They're not. They got mauled. They got bludgeoned. Yeah. And when he needed to throw, guys were open too. And didn't the Chiefs put out the book on playing the 49ers in the Super Bowl? You 8 in the box, press them outside. And the Jets certainly have the corners to be able to do that. Why didn't they do it? They did not play that way. I was surprised at their game plan, but they got mauled. And one more thing about that game. Does it really matter who the running back is? Look, Christian McCaffrey's special, but go back to any Shanahan coaching guy, starting with his dad. Every time there was a running back, Terrell Davis was great. I remember a game where Terrell Davis went for, I think, 160 or something against Jacksonville, and then they put Derek Lavelle in. You remember that guy?
And he had like 7 a pop.
He got 100 in the fourth quarter. Mike Anderson, Orlando Gary, on and on. It doesn't matter. Whoever they do.
His dad was the OG of running backs. Yeah. He started the trend that then obviously is extended to what we see with running back contracts.
Mike, I have a question for you. Yeah. How much of that game and the final score was dictated in the first half when they kept stubbing their toe? I mean, there was the third drive of the game where they went down, scored, running it into the end zone. But it was 4 third and 6 pluses that Aaron Rodgers stepped back, one of which was an empty protection. They went empty for the first time in that third drive, and I was like, here we go. I looked at my wife. I said, Aaron Rodgers is on an island here, 3rd and long. And he was able to make completions. But it was that second drive. You get the fumble. You get the Allen Lazard drop on 3rd down early in the game. You cannot afford to stub your toe on the road. Credit to those Niners fans. They made it really hard pre-snap every single time.
It set the bad tone, but they were losing this game regardless with how this defense played. And with the game plan they had, and truthfully with how the defensive line showed up. I thought Will McDonald, their first-round pick last year, who's obviously filling in for what Bryce Huff would have done, what Hassan Reddick would have done, he was a liability in the running game. I mean, he was getting taken advantage of. I credits off to the 49ers offensive line. I thought Colton McKivitz played a heck of a game. I thought Dominic Purdy at right guard looked like the best offensive lineman I saw of a rookie this past weekend. But the Jets front seven just did not show up. Quentin Williams wasn't making plays. Javon Kinlaw was getting exposed, going sideline to sideline. And when you give up as many yards as they did a pop in the run game, it's like you're just going to lose.
And the turnovers. You can't. If Aaron Rodgers isn't perfect, you need to be damn good on defense. And they weren't damn good on defense. And Aaron Rodgers, a couple of those throws he'd like to have back. It wasn't like he was absolutely sailing the football. There was a few throws that were 6 inches behind or 6 inches in front that cost the team turnovers. And when you're playing against a team that can run it at will like the Niners, you cannot afford to miss those.
I didn't like flow of game. You got Aaron Rodgers, and they came out and they were going to line up and run the ball. And it was just you got to dictate to the 49ers and not let them dictate to you. And I thought they put him in 3rd and longs too many times. And here's the issue with the Jets right now. Wilson's a hell of a player. Hall's a good player out of the backfield. I think he tiptoes in the line too many times. But here's the other problem. Where's the other weapons? Yep. Lazard got a garbage time touchdown, and he had the touchdown on the free play. But he doesn't scare anybody. Mike Williams wasn't a burner before he had his last surgery. They have issues with the other weapon, and I think that's going to show up on a contract.
They showed Mike Williams on the sideline one time. They were talking about, well, we're waiting to see Mike Williams. He's coming back, and they panned to Mike Williams. You know how sometimes they pick the wrong time to show the dude on the sideline? When I tell you he had ghosts in his eyes on the sideline, it was like, I'm not sure if that guy's ready to play. And I know how that is as a player when you're coming back from an injury and there's a lot of expectations of you and obviously a huge game on the road, prime time. Your family, your friends are like, we're looking for you, Mike. Where are you? I can relate to that. So they're going to have to figure this thing out offensively. Allen Lazard, he was like, well, I thought this was the Green Bay Allen Lazard. That's what I've seen from him this offseason. And obviously, oh, no, that's no bueno, Mike.
Yeah, the two biggest takeaways I had that I have in my notes here. One, like you mentioned, Jets outside of Garrett Wilson, no one getting open. Jawan Jennings for the 49ers would be far and away their wide receiver 2 right now, and he barely gets to see the field for the 49ers. And part of that also being, I don't think Garrett Wilson's like a true number 1. You know, he's a number 1 in that offense, but he's not a CeeDee Lamb. He's not to that tier where you have to. He on 3 different occasions, and the pick that he threw, he wasn't getting open. I mean, 3 different occasions that Aaron Rodgers threw it to him.
He had a JanSport
flat
on his
out
back.
Was not a 4th down late in the game. He didn't create enough separation. It wasn't a perfect throw from Rodgers, but you're expecting when you have that guy, you need him to be consistently creating separation. And then the other thing, 49ers just like shine brighter.
Oh shit, my phone went off.
Oh,
I don't know.
Briscoe
I
making
don't know
a
what that
rookie
is.
mistake. Second show.
There we go.
Come on, keep it going.
Places
I wanna
like
see
that.
some-
But the 49ers start shine brighter on defense. Fred Warner,
Dude.
game-changing play. Nick Bosa, unblockable. That was not the case for the Jets and their defensive stars. You know, they did. Sauce Gardner didn't show up. Had missed tackles in the running game. You didn't have Quinton Williams making plays whatsoever, whether it was run or pass. So that was the difference in the game.
I'm not panicking on this Jets offensive line, though. I'm really not going to panic on this Jets
Well, you're
offensive
The
not-
line.
Jets' offense was like the best part of their team.
We used to have Brady Quinn work there. He was a quarterback apologist. Now Logan Ryan's working here. He's a defensive back apologist. And you're an offensive line
Dude,
apologist.
Nick Bosa is one of the best rushers in the National Football League. You're playing on the road. They've got their ears pinned back. They're playing with a lead. They know that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball because they stuffed the run with Fred Warner at the beginning of the game nonstop. I'm talking, we're going to try running left.
Yeah, but all we
Nope,
heard about
there's
was how
Fred.
great these
Now we're going to run up the
veteran
middle.
tackles are around.
There's the
Look at the
hammerhead
veteran
shark,
tackles. The
Fred
line's
Warner.
fixed. The veteran tackles.
Now we're going to pin pull to the outside. Fred Warner goes over the top of 2 defenders, flies in like a friggin' banshee, Pete Prisco. That's the kind of thing that the San Francisco 49ers do. They dictate the terms of engagement early on in the game, and then you got to throw the football. And to my point about Nick Bosa, you got rushers. And if it's not Nick Bosa, it's Leonard Floyd getting home. You've got a bevy of issues when you're playing from behind against a Kyle Shanahan team on the road on a primetime game.
Yeah, but again, last year at the end of last season, teams got physical with the 49ers. They didn't like it. And so they changed their run guys. In fact, Kinlaw was one of them, and he can't, he had problems with the run. When you look at their changes, is Malik Collins a great run player? He's an okay player. You should be able to run right at him. And if you run at them, you get those on those linebackers. The linebackers are great. They flow to the football. But if you go back and watch last year, at the end of the year when teams ran it on them, they were getting bodies on those linebackers. And when you get bodies on them, that's a problem. And so I don't think the Jets' run game, everything was wide, first off. Mm-hmm. Run right at. If you're going to run right at
them. That with what they built offensively, they can move people in the running game. That's what they should be able to do. And they're just running wide zone and pitching it out to the edge. But that's not their bread and butter. And that's the 49ers.
That's the strength of their defense.
Yeah.
It's like, try to get our edge. We're going to chase this thing down and group tackle. And I just, to your point, Breece Hall, I would love to see him get to football and make a cut after he passes the line of scrimmage. Make your one cut and put your head down and run the football like we saw Jordan Mason do.
Yeah. And by the way, Tippmann, I haven't watched the tape yet, but he's a big center and he's high. That could be a problem for them in the middle of that offense in the run game.
I didn't think he had his best game, but I will say this. I mean, Rodgers was accurate. 2 quarterbacks coming off of Achilles. He looked so much better than Kirk Cousins.
And
obviously,
the ball
he had
was
it way
out.
earlier, but he was accurate. The ball was out.
He didn't move, though.
It didn't move, and he's not going to move.
And a big part of his game, his career is moving.
Yeah.
Last year or so in Green Bay, he had eliminated a good portion of that.
But he has to.
But he wasn't even. It was more. This looked like back when he pulled his calf in 2014 and was scared to even do anything.
Right.
And when he does that, he's like he'll take a lot more kind of like dump throws where it's just he knows it's going to be incomplete throwaways as opposed to that little bit of extend.
As a Packers fan, as a lifelong Packers fan, in 2014 he had Josh Sitton, All-Pro, T.J. Lang, Pro Bowler, and then they had good tackles, obviously with Bakhtiari. And who was the right tackle at that time?
Brian Bulaga.
Yeah, Brian Bulaga, who's a great pro. So, I mean, he's used to playing different styles of football, whether he wants to roll out and change the launch point or he can stay in the dish. But he had all pros there. They have yet to prove themselves on the interior part of that offensive line for the New York Jets. The tackles, obviously, I think are experienced enough to hold up, and he can be predicting what they're going to do.
Yeah, but he looked hesitant to me. Like I think you said
weren't getting open.
A little. I mean, the arm was great.
Yeah.
The decision making is still good, but for him to move, he's got to be able to move. That's a big part of who he is, and not move to run because nobody wants to see him run. Move to throw.
Yep.
And he didn't do any of that at all. And he just looked a little. Even there was one handoff where he had problem getting.
I saw that
deep handoff. and it looked like he was afraid to put his foot in the
He
ground.
was hobbling a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of the first handoffs of the game, he actually did a boot action off of it to kind of keep the defense honest, and he looked a little bit ginger on that foot.